Sausage.
Hello, everyone. This is Attack the Backlog, the podcast where I, Mark Kuznez, tries to make a dent in their backlog one game at a time. This episode is all about Broforce, a fast paced, side scrolling run and gun shooter where you play as a various selection of bros that are all based upon icons of the 70s and 90s action stars. You play as a various selection of action icons from the 70s, 80s. No, why did I say 70s? Now are there any from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s? I'm not sure if there are any modern 2010 action stars because I don't even know how many of those exist outside of John Wick and John Wick. Who else? Lucy. We're gonna have a character based off of Lucy, and then there was Anna. All the Luc Besson stupid fucking dumb movies, but no, none of that. I really threw myself off track with that, but it is a very fast-paced running gun shooter that feels a lot like Contra meets Super Meat Boy. It is not as much about getting through a level as fast as possible, but that is an option, and there is probably a speed running mode, and it is kind of fun to try and get through a level as fast as possible. And when you finish a level, unlike what? I guess I was in like Rogue Legacy. I was gonna call Rogue Legacy roguelike, but in Rogue Legacy, when you died, you'd see all of the enemies you killed over the course of your run, and you get a little bit of that here as well. That's not exactly Super Meat Boy-ish because Super Meat Boy showed you all your deaths, but it kind of looks and feels a little bit like Super Meat Boy mixed with the running gun nature of a Contra. It's zoomed out like Super Meat Boy, pretty far out, very pixely, graphics and all that. Super destructible environments, which is fun and something you can use strategically. And it's overall a good time until it isn't. So, one of the cool things and fun things about Broforce is that you can play it with up to 3 friends. And I play through the entirety of the game outside of solo specific missions with my friend Living Large. This is actually the first time I was thinking about it. This is the first time me and him have played through a quote unquote real game together, and it was nice. I was too lazy the first night to use my headset, and then I felt like, well, we didn't use it the first time, so we're not going to use it the second time. But prior to that, I had only played Mario Party and stuff of that nature with him. So getting to play this was nice. That was the most positive thing about this experience. And playing the game, don't get me wrong, was good, was fun again until it wasn't. And that wasn't time period, was around 2 hours in to a session. Because I played it 2 nights over the course of 7-ish hours with some lollygagging around and playing the arcade mode, which is just the campaign mode without the very limited cutscenes and story that is there, but you wouldn't even remember it being there if you tried to pay attention to it. But after about 2 hours, it became very frustrating, and I genuinely hated and loathed playing the game. And you might be saying, "Well, why did you keep playing it?" 1, I'm stubborn. 2, I was playing with my friend, and that is what kept me going. But because of the fast-paced nature of the game and the short nature of levels, the levels, especially some of them and early on, will take you less than a minute to get through. But even the longer ones, if you're taking your time, will at max last probably 3 minutes. But I don't even know. Probably a few that last around there, but I would say the majority of the longer levels would be in around the 2.5 minute range. So levels aren't super long. And the game is broken up into, I believe it was 15 areas that are comprised of a handful of levels that you just go from level to level to level until you reach the final level where you'll battle against some kind of boss. And because of that brevity to it all, I think it's a game that 1000% works better in smaller doses. It's a perfect type of handheld experience or just a cool down in between real, quote unquote, real. I already called this a real game. So, quote unquote, real games. Because it is the kind of game that gets frustrating as you are playing through a level over and over and over again because of the RNG nature to it all, which I'll get to, and the randomness of just the levels and learning them. So you'll learn the layouts, and that's going to be something that's a factor. But the the shtick of Broforce, its gimmick, its whole driving force, what is its one claim to, not claim to fame, but the thing that makes it special is that it is using all of these various referential characters as its assortment of playable characters. And you don't get to pick who you play as. You just, over the course of playing through the game in the various modes, when you go through a level, so you have one life, and it's a one hit kill thing. So if you get hit, you're dead. But the way you gain additional lives in the levels is by saving other bros. And with each bro saved, you will turn into a random new bro and you'll get an additional life that you'll start back at the last checkpoint you hit. If you haven't, or when you first start the game, you'll always find new bros. So you'll get a nice little splash screen and it'll give you some stupid bro punny name like Brolin Ripley or Bromando, Brolander, Brodator for Predator or shit like that. And the nature of that or the aspect of that that makes it frustrating or can make it challenging is that there are a lot of various characters and they're not all created equally. They're not all as strong or as worthwhile or as useful as the next one. The ones that stick out the most as being almost entirely useless are the melee characters. So you have Blade, Neo, Kill Bill. I know her name is not Kill Bill, but I don't know her character's name and I don't like those movies. So Kill Bill she is. You have Conan the Barbarian, not O'Brien the ginger dancing talk show host. And is ginger an offensive word? When I said I'm like, I don't know if they like that. I mean, I feel like Conan wouldn't give a shit. He'd be like, yeah, I'm a carrot. I don't I don't know what he'd say. But you have all these melee characters who are unbelievably useless because you're dealing with a lot of enemies, the majority, if not all of them, who are ranged enemies. They're going to be shooting guns at you. And again, you take one shot, you're dead. Then you restart the level completely, or if you have a few lives saved up, you've saved a few bros, then you'll have additional characters to go with. And they just suck. So if you end up with a starting character who is a melee character, you're screwed. Or you save a bro, and then you get a random new character who's a melee character. It sucks. And then you die and you spawn as a different random character. Because the character you start as, if you start as, for instance, the Predator, whose weapon is throwing his little javelin thing. If you start as a Predator and then you save a bro, and that bro ends up being Kill Bill. When you die as Kill Bill, you then don't go back to the Predator. It just throws the RNG dice again, and you get some other random selection of random bro from the selection you have unlocked. And that can really make the experience and levels frustrating when you're trying to get through something and maybe it's giving you a hard time and you just keep getting the wrong characters. I understand that that's kind of the whole thing of it all, and what I would suggest would break it, but I would really like if it was handled like a rogue, like or a deck building game where you are creating your deck of bros in your pool that you can get through your RNG when you save a bro and you get an additional life. I wish that's how it worked so that I could just say, I don't want any of these melee characters. But if you did that, I'm sure the majority of people would say, yeah, I don't want any of these melee characters. Blade's not bad. Neo is useful for bosses because he is incredibly strong. Don't know why Blade, Blade uses a blade, but he also has a gun. He uses guns. Neo uses plenty of guns. I know, I know kung fu. Good for you, but you also know how to just go whoop de doo and get a bunch of guns in your fucking little magic white room. But it's frustrating because of that. And there's also just the way the game builds up the campaign. I think some of the later levels, especially the aliens who are spitting acid at you, that gets frustrating. And when you are playing with friends, I can only imagine what this is like playing with 4 people at the same time. But when you're playing with another person, it's not 2 times more hectic than it is by yourself. It's about 4 or 5 times more hectic. Because now you have 2 people who are firing and destroying the environment, particle effects, pixels just exploding everywhere, and it becomes hard to read what's happening on screen at times when a lot of shit is going on. And you have the enemies themselves firing at you, shooting missiles at you, drills coming out of places, so on and so forth. But it is still a good game. Again, just because I started to hate it and loathe it and wanted to do anything other than keep playing it after a certain point, I enjoyed it up until that point, and the onus is on me. It was my fault for playing it past the point where I was enjoying it because of, again, stubbornness and just wanting to be a good friend and all that. But I think it is a genuinely good game that's fun and designed well, especially the creative ways you can get through levels. So you can just play it very traditionally and go through a level, killing enemies, going from left to right, and making your way there, taking your time if you want, doing a little bit of environmental destruction. But you can also, through the environmental destruction, craft your own path through a level. So in some of the levels, the way they're designed, they could be incredibly complex with all of these hazards and traps and stuff that are trying to kill you and get in your way and really screw you over and make a level challenging. But depending on how they're designed, you can just shoot your way under everything. You can just tunnel yourself to the end of the level and beat it that way. And the fact that you're able to do stuff like that is fun and keeps the game engaging when it can be more frustrating because you can look at a situation that may seem overly difficult or is giving you a hard time again, challenging you at that moment, and think of other ways of handling it. There are multiple ways of handling any situation, and the straightforward, obvious one is not always going to be the best choice, and in many cases, probably won't be the best choice. You can again find your own path, or you can through the environmental destruction do things like if a tank is in your way or a missile launcher, you can have some setup where you destroy the ground underneath and have it fall to the ground and explode. You can have enemies fall onto other enemies. You can make boulders fall onto enemies and so on. And that's fun. But yeah, just don't play it in long sessions because it's going to get bad. It's going to get bad. And then on the little solo missions they have, I can't remember the few ones or some covert op ones where I think they just had you play as specific characters and made you do some things. But the main ones I remembered are these spelunking ones, I guess you could call them, where you are forced to play as the Indiana Jones bro. And those I found especially frustrating just because they focus on the platforming more often than not, using the whip to swing around and jumping around and getting through a level as just Indiana Jones. You're not playing as any other bro. And the platforming isn't the game's strongest point. You can hop up do the kind of not wall runs or wall jumping, but the, like, singular wall jump where you just keep jumping up against a single wall, not back and forth. I don't really know if there's a name for that, a term for that style of wall jumping, but you can do that in the game. Doesn't that feels fine to get to places fast, but it can also be finicky when you're trying to jump between small platforms, small little individual blocks, and the character sometimes wants to chop over it or something, like mantle over it, and it's a little finicky. It can be frustrating, and that's another thing about the environmental destruction. You can, if you're going too crazy, and that's one of the reasons why you don't want to go too crazy with the destruction. You don't want to go too hectic and just running gun like a psychopath either, just shooting everything in your in your immediate future. I don't know where I was going with that, but if you destroy an environment too much, and this is also where learning an environment's layout, a level's layout, and all that comes into play as well. If you destroy too much of an area, you may make it so that you can't complete a level. Because the way you complete a level is you're going from left to right, shooting up enemies, doing whatever you're doing to get to the boss, the devil of the level, and then you kill them, raise the American flag, and hop on the ladder of your chopper to get away. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get to the chopper. Yeah, okay. Ha 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 ha. But if you destroy too much of the environment, then you won't be able to get up to where the enemy is and the flag is the flagpole is to raise and therefore beat the level and you have to just start over, which is on you. But overall, I'll say despite really hating probably half of my time with the game, because again, I played in about 2 4-hour sessions, plenty of long again. There are probably more like 7 hours of actual playtime. A, a good almost half of that was me being really frustrated and just wanting to get the game done and over with. I do think some of the bro choices are very strange. And I guess this goes to show how I'm just not a fan of some of these cult movies and whatnot, but Kill Bill 1 just seems like a weird choice for this game. Kill Bill, I know again, not her character's name. At least she was just using her sword and it wasn't like, if they want to be creative and funny with it, she should have had some power where she just shows her feet and then, I don't know, Quentin Tarantino comes drooling on the screen and drowns all the enemies on the screen. I don't fucking know. Stupid ass movie, stupid ass fucking fucking foot fetish crap. But the Boondock Saints, they're a couple of rows. They're cool. I like them because it basically gives you additional 2 lives with 1 character, and they can call in their older buddy. I haven't seen that movie in forever. I don't like that movie. And you get 3 additional lives, which is nice for them. But those are probably the ones that stand out to me as just being weird. I wanted to bring up the fact that the Boondock Saints are in this, and I'm just like, why? Why are they in this? There's some Jean-Claude Van Damme love, which I appreciate. We have both Universal Soldier and Time Cop. If they wanted to add another melee character, they could have, I guess, just have Bloodsport and have him constantly doing the splits. Hey, look at me, I can do the splits. You can avoid bullets that way. You can dodge bullets. And every character also has some special ability of some nature, whether it be a superpower rocket launcher. RoboCop has his little targeting system and can do damage that way. You have Time Cop, of course, being able to slow down time, which is advantageous, and other stuff of that nature. It's cool. It's fun. It's a silly little game that I would be willing to play again with him, just as something like, hey, got 30 minutes. Let's just play this. Maybe we're gonna play something meatier, and while we're waiting for other people to show up, we're gonna play. I don't know what's the game I can think of. We're gonna do Call of Duty Warzone with a group of 4, but there are only 2 of us right now. What are we gonna do? Well, hey, we can play some Broforce. Sure. But 4-hour sessions? No. But yeah, that's Broforce. It's a good time until it isn't. Unless you've played it for long sessions and you like it, then I'm happy for you. But I went from "Whoo, this is fun" to "Someone kill me. I can't take any more of this. I don't want to keep playing this. I really hate this. Are we done yet? Are we done there?" I was like a little kid asking if we're there yet, except I was asking if we were done with this game yet. But it's a good game. I know there's this weird back and forth. Did did Mark like it? Did I like it? Yeah, I liked it overall, but it's not without its issues and frustrations. But that is again Broforce, available everywhere. I would assume it wouldn't need a lot to run, but again, I think it would be a great handheld experience for sure. But that is going to do it for this here episode of Attack the Backlog. Once again, I am Mark Christian. As y'all can find me pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. If you enjoy this show or any of the stuff I do and what have you, you can support me and my nonsense over at patreon.com/PXS. There you can get access to a monthly Q&A, a private Discord channel, along with some fancy Discord roles, and the random drop on the Patreon here or there, depending on your tier. Or you could just support me to support me if that is your fancy. That is again patreon.com/PXS. In addition to the Patreon, you can find links to the site, the YouTube, the Discord, and so much more over at pxsausage.com. That is the letter P, the letter X, sausage.com. But that is it. That is all. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. But for now, adios, arrivederci.